So I came across this video, and having experienced just about everything these people are going through, I'm like, I gotta react to this craziness. If you've never lived in an HOA community, you gotta watch this. It is nuts.
Seems like a good day to find some violation. Hey, Matt, I know you got enough money for the boat, so I know you got enough money to store it. Let's get it out of the yard, okay? This is a gated community. You know the rules. Hey, Chevy, listen, girl, I know your husband cheated, and I really am praying for you, but you need to get these bushes trimmed. They're an eyesore, girl. Hey, Darlene, when did the privacy fence go up? Well, enjoy it. We got a meeting next week, and that thing's coming down even if I have to rip it out myself. You know trash runs on Friday, right? Okay, well, it's been 3 days. I'm just wondering why the cans are still at the street. That's a violation. Hey, Chevy, what's up with the baby blue door? Now, I told you the only blue that's allowed is navy. That's going to be a violation. Love life went to shit, okay? But that doesn't mean our neighborhood is, okay? You need to get it together. Cars blocking the sidewalk. That's a violation. If he spent half as much time on them rose bushes as he did on Tinder, he might be able to bring a girl home. Hey, Sean, you're kidding me, right? It's grass above the 3-inch maximum. That's a violation.
So the reason this is funny, and I'm just going to share a brief story when we get back to the video. When my wife, before we met, we were living in Arizona, and a lot of Arizona communities, especially like in the Valley, Phoenix, and suburbs, there's a lot of HOAs. And she moved from like a rural country setting to the city. She moved to a city called Levine, Arizona, which is kind of near Phoenix. And she comes home one day and she's got a notice on her door from the house that she's renting at the time. And it said that she was going to be charged $50 because she had weeds in her backyard. So what makes it so funny is she thought she was getting punked because where she grew up at, there's nothing but weeds. So for her to move to Arizona where there's hardly any grass or any living anything because everything, it's a desert, for them to look over your fence and see that you got weeds and then want to fine you, she literally thought she was getting punked until her sister told her, no, that's a real thing.
I'm moving to this house on Makakilo that happens to be at a HOA, or housing, whatever the fuck. Basically insanity people that have control issues, neighborhood. And I was warned by the person I'm getting the house from that the person across the street was absolutely Lolo, and that she constantly calls the HOA for ridiculous things. Like it's a daily thing. Like she's calling the HOA for something on somebody. She's just that person. Like she's bored in her life. I don't know what the hell her problem is. However, I did get a little glimpse of that shit today. Like, cause I don't believe when people tell me shit about people. Like everybody acts different with different people, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take what you said as like a grain of salt, put it on my shoulder, keep it in the back of my mind, but I'm not gonna use that against the person unless they show me a reason to, or like not use it, but you know what I'm saying, use it as judgment. So, but this woman, she makes me question if there should be like something that has to be filled out by the residents that join the HOA or want to be a part of the HOA to make sure that they are mentally sound before they're able to start harassing their neighbors, because this woman is not well. She looks young. She looked athletic. She apparently has a husband, because that dude came out too, but the look on his face as he watched her do what she did was like he didn't fought that battle and decided it ain't worth it. She was sweeping, okay, spotless driveway. And I mean spotless, like as if she had power washed that bitch spotless. Yet for an hour and a half, she used a little hand brush at first and a little dustpan thing and was sweeping every single crack on her driveway. The ones that were naturally formed, ones that weren't naturally formed, the edge between the siding of her house and this, and like, it was insane to watch. Like, it's one thing though, no, it was insane. It was like, there's nothing, there's no other way to explain that shit. Like, there was no other way to, it was like watching somebody water their lawn while it's raining. It was, she's not here. Like, there's something not clicking up here. Oh, yet weird. She, from what I heard from the other neighbors I talked to, and she is the scourge of the HOA. She is reporting everybody for everything, and they're getting fined behind it. But this woman is not mentally sane. Like, so dangerous. But like, when you consider HOAs were created by white supremacists back in the day to keep black people, brown people, and whatever else out of their neighborhoods, it was founded on a crazy premise, and I guess it makes perfect sense that an insane lady is over here ruining people's fucking days and it's costing them all kinds of money because she's got a mental issue where she can look at a white, pristine, damn near glowing driveway and feel as though she needs to spend an hour and a half sweeping the cracks. man, check on your friends. 'Cause I don't know if everybody's okay, but them HOAs, it makes no sense to be able to have any old body deciding what's happening in your life, especially when they're showing clear signs of insanity.
As many of you know, my husband and I used to own a house in a super intense whack HOA. It's our first spring in our new house that is not in a super crazy HOA, and a memory got unlocked in my brain. My son and I were enjoying a super nice walk today, and it's pretty windy here, and I heard a beautiful wind chime just blowing in the wind. And it reminded me that in our old neighborhood, wind chimes were banned. You could not own one. You could not have one. If you had one out, you would get fined. I think it was $75 a week for owning a wind chime. Like, that was in the rules of the HOA. No wind chimes. Like, what? Why? What did a wind chime ever do to anybody? I think they're pretty. I think they sound nice. Like, what? Why? Makes no sense. That's the hill you're gonna die on. Wind chimes. Okay.
Okay, I've gotten a few dear snarky letters about HOA, so then I felt, I have to share my experience as being an HOA president for 2 years. It was not good, people. It was not good. If you're now thinking, I would never live where there's an HOA, well, we could live in an HOA and send our kids to one of the best school districts in the country, so it was worth living in an HOA, 100%. So, if that's your complaint, I would never live where there's an HOA. Yes, you would, because you're going to do what's best for your kids. And if they could go to the best school district, then guess what? You're living in an HOA. So anyhow, I first got conned into joining an HOA when I moved here. And I did their newsletter and stuff, which was fun and no big deal, whatever. And then slowly, no one wanted to be president. So I'm like, oh, God, I guess I'll be president. And then the next year, no one could be president. So I did it again. Luckily, you can only do 2 terms, so I was able to get out. I was so excited when my term as HOA president was up. My husband planned a little bit of a party for me. Yeah, and it was much needed. Okay, so here is my big deal about being HOA president. We live in, it's a really low-key HOA. The biggest issue and the biggest eye-opener was that people just don't want to talk to their neighbors. Like, instead of going to your neighbor, hey, your tree's kind of hanging over my fence a little bit. Can we get that trimmed? Instead of having that conversation, they would go to the HOA president. I was the mom of the neighborhood. Y'all, I'm busy enough being the mom of 2 kids and they're grown-ass adults. I don't want to be the mom of the neighborhood. And it was a big neighborhood, like almost 600 homes in said neighborhood. And it was so bad with people like then constantly complaining at me, I would not walk my dogs in my own neighborhood. I would get out of the neighborhood as fast as I could and then take my dogs on their dog walk in another neighborhood. Because people would just stop me all the time, complain. And most of these people are very nice. Love my neighborhood, love my neighbors. But y'all, people like to complain, and I get it, because I also like to complain. But still, enough. Talk to your neighbor. And I live in a part of the country that is in the Midwest, and there's a saying, Midwest nice. Okay, a lot of that is Midwest passive-aggressive. I mean, for the love of all that is holy, talk to your neighbor. Don't ask me, the HOA president, to be the mom and to be the intermediary. You should be able to talk to your neighbor. You see your neighbors every day. Just go, hey, can you fix that? Or how can I help you? But no, instead of that, they would come to me. Y'all, I did not like that at all. People should be able to work out teeny tiny little problems without involving the HOA president. No. And then another thing that got me is that people move into the HOA. You know you're moving into an HOA and there are certain rules. And then they would act aghast and horrified when they were told, hey, you're gonna kind of have to follow that HOA rule. It's in the covenants, etc., etc., etc. And then they would do everything to not follow the rules. Fits, whatever, I don't know. It was a lot. But once again, love my neighborhood, love my neighbors, but people just need to work stuff out and not run straight to the HOA president. Are there more stories? Yes. Do I feel comfortable sharing them while I still live in my neighborhood? Absolutely not. But y'all, let's try to work problems out between our neighbors, especially neighbors that you see every single day, and have a little conversation with them instead of running to the HOA president. And I'm also thinking, if I was a man, would they have complained so vigorously to me and expected me to solve their problems? I don't know. Maybe as a woman, they think, oh, she can do it. You know, that's her job. Women do stuff like that. I don't know. Food for thought, most definitely.
Real quick, I was a police officer for a long time, and I can't even tell you how many of these stupid calls we responded to that were HOA related, or we were on a call, let's say we're on a domestic, and then the little nosy neighbor guy comes walking up. Hey, officers, what's going on? And I'm like, everything's good. You can go back in your house. Well, I'm the HOA president. And I would look at these fools like, dude, get your butt back in the house.
So I purchased a home in 2020 in a, I guess, community that has two phases, phase one, phase two. Phase one is the people, I guess, that was here years before phase two came along. But anyways, those are the people that are over the HOA. I never dealt with the HOA, didn't know what to expect. But anyways, my brother comes and visit me. And my brother decides, he has this bright idea, that he wants to take these cones that is out in the street. I guess he didn't think that it belonged to anybody. And I guess he didn't realize that somebody was watching him. So he hops out the car, he takes, I'm not even sure how many cones, these little orange traffic cones. And he proceeds to go to my house. Now, where he messed up at was, first of all, if you're going to do something that you're not supposed to do it when you leaving the place, not when you come in here to stay for a while. So when he gets to my house, he's confronted by a neighborhood watch person, and it's just this big old ordeal. So I am contacted by someone else within the HOA. They're asking me, like, how did this happen? Why did your brother decide to steal these cones? Just asking me, do I know what's in this man's mind? And I don't know, because he's a grown man. So long story short, they say, okay, well, it's going to be a penalty for this occurrence. The next day we get an email and they say, okay, it's $125 fine. Now, let me tell you, my brother took the cones, but during the incident when he was confronted, he gave the cones back. So he never actually left out of our subdivision with the cones in his possession. So he just took them on a little joyride. So I'm like, $125? You gotta be kidding me. So I'm not tripping because I'm not the one that sold the cones. So I told my brother sends me the money to pay, I pay it. But lo and behold, we get an email from the attorney that represents the HOA. And in the email it says, hey, you have until the end of business day to return the cone or pay the fine. So I said, well, hey, we never took the cone. The cone was returned. Can we get our money back? And this is why I don't like them. They said, no, we cannot get our $125 back. And then they ended up sending an email to the whole entire community about what happened. And then said any incidents like this going forward, any fines will be now $250. And the homeowner has to pay. So, you're responsible for any guests that come to the, premises or property. So, yeah, don't like HOA.
Okay, if you live in an HOA, let me know if you like it, you think it's worth it, it's helpful to you, and it's worth the money. Because in Florida, it's almost impossible to find, to live in a development where there's not an HOA. So we moved from our townhouse, which had a huge HOA of $300 a month, to this house, which also has an HOA, but it's $50 a month. But they literally do nothing here. They don't do shit. And the house across the street from me brings down the whole neighborhood value. I'm sorry. They have their kids' toys sprawled out everywhere, a huge volleyball net, that police caution tape wrapped around trees, for the kids, for these they have 4 boys. And I'm telling you, it's bringing the neighborhood value down. I want to say something to the HOA and be I had to ask to paint my house white when we moved in, but these people can live like slobs. I don't know. It's not worth it.
What's crazy to me is if you don't like living that close to people, do like I did. Move out in the country. Make sure there's nobody within a mile or two of your house. Not everybody can do that, but I was able to do it, and I'll be honest with you, I love it. I love it.
Sell your place and you have an HOA, they will go to your open house and find things to cite you for. So just letting you know in case you ever list your place for sale, because we were cited for having the IKEA decking on our porch. And the president and his wife went to our open house, and then they actually used our listing pictures in our notice of violation.
Wow. Get a
Just
life.
love HOAs.
Wow.
It is currently 3:41 in the afternoon, so we don't live too far from the bus stop from where my son gets dropped off. And I'm waiting here warming up the car because he gets here about 3:50, somewhere around there. So I don't like to vent about stuff because I find it tacky, but sometimes you just gotta say things, And I've seen a lot of videos with people who have to deal with HOAs, which we do here. Talk about a pain in the butt. So in bad weather, it's me and another parent, and we take our kids to the corner because we kind of live a little bit of ways from the bus stop. And we have this new HOA lady that became president of the HOA maybe a few months ago. And not to go into a lot of detail, but if you have an HOA, then you know that they can be a pain in the ass. And let me tell you something. This lady was testing my gangster because I grew up in Chicago. So I'm used to city life and city ways. And as I got older, I'm like, you know what? For the sake of my son and my grandkids, I'm going to tone it down because we live in a nice area now. We live in Indiana now. So it's different over here. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has that street mentality in life. And we come from there, it definitely changed when you move away, okay? A little bit. But, there's a saying that says you can take the girl out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the girl. So, yeah. But like I said, I grew up, and we have an HOA lady that likes to harass the parents because we wait by the corner. Now, given when the weather's warm and not cold and freezing and ice on the floor and snow, me and my son walk to the bus stop because we got to make sure our kids are safe and get off that bus. To make a long story short, she's been harassing us and saying stuff to us, saying we can't park there, coming up to us, driving up to our cars. We go twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon. So they kind of like make complaints and put letters on our thing, and we're like, we're not even here 5 minutes. To make a long story short, we don't give a fuck. We're going to get our kids. You get what I'm saying? And she's on my nerves. So it's hard for me not to be cussing her out because that's not how I want to live anymore. But then she starts moving her hands. Well, you can't be waiting here. She's one of them cracking her neck type of ladies. Well, I'm from the hood. And I don't give a damn who you think you are. You're not going to talk to me anyway. You're not going to talk to me like I'm a kid. And you sure as hell ain't going to talk to me like I'm stupid and I'm supposed to be afraid of you. Okay? Because we're not doing nothing wrong. But tell me why, because I started recording her. So anyway, we had a little disagreement with her in our house. And she came up to our door with another HOA person. And they were saying off the wall stuff. And she called us bitches. So I refuse to speak with her now. Like, if anything she has to say, she got to put it in the letter. And I'm like, she ain't the police. She ain't nobody. You can't be driving up to people, harassing people when they got their kids waiting at the school bus. It's just ridiculous. And it bothers me. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like sometimes people get a little power and to them, and then they want to take it too far. Now, no, you're mad because they said they don't really want kids in this area. They don't want, they think this is an old retirement area. I feel like if that's what you want, you need to pay to be in those type of communities. Because this is an open market here. You can't tell people who can move here and who can't. We don't even have that type of problems. We come a long way from the Chi, Because if I was in the Chi and we were in an apartment, back in the day, we definitely would have went at it or had a lot of words. I don't give a damn. It reminds me of somebody that tested me when I first moved out here because, I look like a weta, which means I look like a white girl, but I'm Mexican and white. But, I didn't grow up around them. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in Chicago. So people mistake my appearance for weak for some reason until they hear me talk, and that's real talk. But I feel like, you know what, you ain't gonna bully me. You ain't gonna do nothing because we're not doing nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, they try enforcing all these new rules, but don't be telling nobody. And then they got cameras watching us. Like, who the fuck are you that I gotta watch and feel nervous coming out of my house because you guys got cameras watching us like we're some type of criminal? Bitch, I'll show you a criminal, okay? Let me call my baby daddy that took 20 years in a Fed joint and bring his ass over here if I was really that petty. You get what I'm saying? But like I said, I don't think so. But that's my rant.
Isn't that crazy, yo? I mean, you guys know I love it when you comment and you give me your opinion on craziness like this. And like I said, for me, not only did we live in a gated community, we also lived in a regular neighborhood that wasn't gated, but they were both HOAs. And I'm telling you, what these people are saying is 100% true. I don't know what it is, but these HOA presidents, they walk around like they're the president of the United States. I mean, just like she said there. They come to your house. I mean, they literally act like the Gestapo. It's nuts. I don't understand it. I told my wife we will never, ever live in another HOA community. Again, not trying to make this about me, but I love living out in the country, like I said earlier. We can shoot our guns. We can paint our house any color we want. We can basically leave a pile of trash in the front yard if we want to. Not that we would, but I'm just saying you can do that stuff when you're living out in the country. But when you live in the city, there's all these codes and violations, and I'm sorry, you can have that crap. So if you've ever experienced one of these HOA situations, please drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are and your experiences. Make sure you like this video if you haven't already. Also subscribe to the channel. And as always, I love you guys, and I will check you on the next one.